Welcome to Common Pitfalls. Today we're going to talk about the messages that instructors send besides the actual cues and verbiage they're saying. So this goes into the tone of voice and the body language and gestures that are used while they're teaching. This is huge and very impactful in terms of how the client receives the material and how they respond to you and Pilates in general. So a couple of the things that instructors tend to not be aware that they're doing is that they'll talk monotone, they won't have any inflection in their voice, and it's very boring to listen to, and you think the instructor is not excited about Pilates at all. So try to have some natural inflection in your voice, some natural highs and lows in the volume and the tempo. Sometimes if I want to get a client's attention, I'll actually talk softer so that they have to listen. Now with that, you also don't want to have the volume of your voice too loud. Sorry if I burst your eardrums there, but we've talked about this in terms of studio and how it can affect other people's clients, but it's also not good for your client because if they think you're yelling at them, they could have a really negative approach and thought of Pilates too. You also want to watch out for being considered patronizing or condescending. So you want to make sure that you have an appropriate amount of sarcasm and humor with the client, that your rapport is a friendly banter, and you want to watch out for any of those types of negative vibes, because not only are they going to think that that's a negative thing about you, but they're going to think about it in terms of Pilates as well. Also, watch out for having a fake or kind of false encouragement. So if you're like, "Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's wonderful," they're going to realize that you're not sincere, and they're going to stop trying. They're going to get frustrated that they're not sure if they're doing it right, or if you think they're doing a good job. You want it to really come from your heart, because people can see, they can tell if you're faking it and if it's not coming from your heart. And that's really important to clients, especially in this day and age, that people are authentic and that it really means something when you say, "Good job, I like that, that's exactly what I wanted." When you're teaching, you also want to be aware of your posture and your body language and the gestures that you use, whether it's by tipping your head or your hand gestures or anything else. If you're standing there and you've got your arms crossed across your chest, you've got your eyebrows furrowed, and you look kind of mad, people may interpret that as you being angry at them or frustrated with them, or you think they're just doing a terrible job. Or it could mean that they could interpret you being judgmental and angry. There's tons of things in this area that you could not even realize you're conveying, that the client interprets and takes in completely different ways than you intended. It could be that you're frustrated with your spouse from earlier in the day, and you're bringing it into the studio and it's coming across the client. This could be that you just have a negative personality all the time and it's coming across the client. So just be aware that your tone of voice and your body language play a huge role in your teaching, and you want to be aware of them. So take stock, ask some other people for feedback, and be aware that that is an issue.